Oh, okay. Well, here's the information that I calculated for our reunion expenses. And
Mhm.
I calculated this based on 40 people. I know John sent me a message. He said, I guess he got it. And he said, yeah, I agree with you. About 30 people would be probably more accurate. And I know Donna is thinking more 50 people. So you can see here, I split the difference. So I'm calculating everything based on 40 people. Okay. And
Mhm.
under the word calculations, these calculations came from a friend from Peters, who is a professional caterer. And that's what they recommend. That's what his friend recommended as to how to calculate the number of burgers and the amount of baked beans and potato salad and all that other kind of stuff. So I wrote down what the calculation was, and it's based on 40 people. And you can see the prices here on the, under the cost here. And, that's subject to go up, as we are all aware. The only thing I forgot to include was a beverage. So if we want to include just bottles of water or make a pot of coffee or whatever, that's to the best of my knowledge, that's the only thing that needs to be included or updated or whatever you want to call it. But again, all these prices here under this, with the cost category, that's based on calculating everything out for 40 people. The hamburgers, the rolls, number of hot dogs, and so forth. And the other thing I did not calculate, because I don't know the prices, is if we're going to have sugar cake as a dessert, or if we're going to have any other kind of a dessert along with the sugar cake. One year I know that we had Rita's Italian Ice that seemed to go down well. I know Sam's Club has those little square mini cheesecake kind of deals. We could do something like that. But that's just more, just some other possibilities. I also put down here a cost of the postage. If we send out a letter, as I understand it, current postage is 58 cents at first class for each letter. And if we send out 300, that's going to be 174 bucks. That's just the postage. That does not include envelopes or the stationery, the paper. Here's the rentals.
So I said that I would, and I'm sure that's why you put it over there. I'm donating the paper, the envelopes, and the ink.
Okay. Well, I was just figuring out all the prices and everything. So that's good
absolutely.
to know. Then there's the cost for the rental. And then here under the yellow copy, the yellow section, just the cost for the food, the placeware, and those kinds of costs is roughly about $225. And again, the desserts are missing. Now, with the cost of just the postage and the rental, that's about 424 bucks. And if we put all that together, that comes to almost 650 bucks. And if you divide that by 4 people, that's roughly $16 a person. Now, if we just have people pay for the food, the plates, and that kind of thing, that comes to roughly 225 bucks, or roughly 550, 560 a person. So that's, again, I did not include the beverage or the dessert, so that's going to go up a few bucks. And the other thing I wanted to mention real quick, where did it go? Oh, condiments. I wasn't sure what to put down there, so I put down $20 for, a bottle of ketchup, some mustard, some onions, some relish, that kind of thing. So that's included in there, but it's kind of iffy. I'm not sure exactly what to. But those are the prices right now. Anything I missed or anything I need to cover?
He has it, honey.
Everything looks fine. It's just a matter of what do we want to convey to the people that we're inviting, you know?
Right.
Do we want to say donation? And then I know Peter said he'd cover some of the costs. I said I'd cover some of the costs. If we just have a jar or whatever, or do we really want to put a price in there? I know Peter was not too much in favor of putting a price in there of any substantial amount, you know?
Right.
We don't want to detract people from coming, you know?
Right. Didn't we, in previous reunions, didn't we have like a suggested price for the food? You know, whatever it was, $5, $10, $15 per adult, and children under 12 free, and that sort of thing. And then there was also another section for what the family called dues, and it was whatever, $10 a person. We could just say that we're going to ask, you know, $10 a person, and then ask for a love offering for any of the other expenses. I think most people will not. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I totally get where you're going. And like the way that I understood it, like I'm agreeing with Conrad that Peter and Conrad were saying, you know, let's just get the food, get people there, and then we'd ask for a donation. And I know that my husband and I, we have a cafe through our church after church. And like when kids come up and they say, how much is that donut? We'll say $1. But like when people like parents come up or whatever, we say whatever's on your heart to give, you know, for the donut or whatever, or the coffee or whatever. And people tend to give more money than what we ask them to, because they know what the value of these things are like in day-to-day life. So, I mean, like, I'm thinking, I mean, my personal opinion is that if some of this stuff can be covered and then, you know, replaced with donations, I have a feeling that we would get more money from donations than if we put a price on it.
That's fine by me. I really don't care. But
that's possible, but I would hate to wind up being short. And I would hate for, you know, Conrad and Peter to be forking out all the money for this.
Yeah, well, I mean, like on the other hand of it too, is I need to be reimbursed for the postage. I can't do another, you know, $200, you know, because we're gonna have to get a hotel and, you know, like pay for those kind of things too. And I totally don't mind doing envelopes, paper, ink, which is kind of expensive, but I can't do another like almost $200. So I would have to be reimbursed. I will buy the postage and everything, but I would have to be reimbursed. So that would be another $175 about. So I don't care per se. I would be fine with an amount. But I need to know kind of soon, because this week and early next week, I'm going to be really busy with my boys, and I kind of want to get the invitation like all lined up so that I can very quickly in early part of May send out this invitation to the email addresses that I have, and then follow it up within a week or so with getting them out into the mail so that people have them by mid-May, and then they can make plans. So, yeah. So I want to get that invitation, and like sort of on the same wavelength of, because of the agenda that we're talking about today, is if we want to, there's two ways we can do the events. We can either put them on the back side of the invitation, listing some of the events, which would mean that we kind of have to decide now what events we want to list on the invitation. That doesn't mean we can't include more events, but we just need to decide what events we want to talk about. Or we can send it without any events, and then any email addresses that we have, because the invitation has, fill your information out, like your email address and a phone number or something like that. So even if somebody doesn't have an email address, we at least have a phone number for them, and then forward all the people that we actually have email addresses to later on, send them a list of events when they're maybe more hammered out, that we could say, yeah, we're definitely doing this or not doing that or something like that.
Well, along with that, we need to have some kind of a schedule, some kind of a itinerary. What's happening? In fact, I'm not
right
in terms of the meal. I'm not even sure if you're talking about lunch or if you're talking about supper or dinner.
I'm talking, that's another thing that has to be decided. What time do we want to have that was never discussed. It was crazy. Like, what time does the reunion start? I'm kind of leaning towards 12:30, and then 1 be the time that the food starts. But maybe somebody else has like a different opinion.
Well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I did put the paper, just an FYI, I did put the paperwork in for, I put it in for Grove, but weather permitting, but for fellowship and hall and kitchen, weather not permitting. If you're going to do, I know you talked about a cemetery tour and something like that. End of July with the weather, and I know our cemetery has little if no shading whatsoever. You may want to do a walk through the cemetery, I'd say 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning when it's cooler out, then try to do it, later in the afternoon or something like that. I'm just saying, because my thought is for a lot of the people that I think, if we get people to come, I think your average age is going to be between 50 and 70.
Well, we never know. I mean, and those people that are 50 to 70, they might have already seen the cemetery and don't really care about seeing the cemetery. But I thought we were going to use the fellowship hall nevertheless, that we were going to have
Which
the food and everything in there. I think that is a smart idea. Yeah. To kind of meet in the fellowship hall.
Right. And also too, thinking about the people who may be coming, we're talking of older people who may not be able to handle the heat. Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think that
I can definitely reach out to the church and definitely tell them that we want the fellowship hall and kitchen. We don't need to have the Grove. So if they want to rent the Grove out to somebody that day, they can.
Yeah. Well, like sort of what I was thinking, you see, I would think that going over to see the cemetery, that's like maybe a half an hour thing ish. It's very short. But the Whitfield Museum would be more of an event. So I was like thinking doing something like the Whitfield Museum in the morning, and some people might be like a couple of hours away, don't want to go to the Whitfield Museum, and they'll just go straight to the reunion. And then I was kind of thinking of the cemetery to be kind of like, well, after you ate and maybe you might want to walk around a little bit. Maybe some people might want to drive over to the cemetery and just look at the cemetery and see where the gravestones are and stuff like that. And that would be like a half an hour thing after people have eaten, and, you know, nothing is really going on anymore with the reunion.
One other
You know-
thing you did mention was about the possibility of walking up to the cemetery. I can tell you right now, the main drag from the front of the church is relatively very busy.
Yeah.
I know, like when we do our Memorial Day cemetery after church services for Memorial Day, we walk up to the cemetery, but we always have to get police escort to block the road.
Yeah.
So that way we can walk up. There is another way to walk up going the back way, which is not a very busy street, which you'd walk up past Martin and Qatar, but it
Yeah.
is a longer route and it's a little steeper. There's a little bit
Yeah.
of a steeper incline to get up.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm just throwing it out because I know
Yeah.
one of your emails mentioned something about
Yeah.
walking up, but
well,
and again,
yeah.
but
Like,
it's July 30th.
I'm not saying
and it's
that
gonna be hot and
everybody.
humid.
Yeah. And you know, like it shouldn't be like something like, oh, everybody has to do this or whatever. It's just, you know, if some people at whatever time we're going to meet up at the cemetery, you could walk. If you're young and adventurous, you could take a car. If you know, would rather do that, you know, kind of like, and just meet us at a certain time at the cemetery, and we have somebody who can like explain where the graves are and how the cemetery is organized and things like that. And I think it will kind of be like a very, very, very short kind of thing. And I don't think, like, say 40 people come to the reunion, I bet you 10 will go to the cemetery. Like, so it's not going to be like the majority of people.
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say because,
You think a lot of people might want to do that?
oh, yes.
Well, if you get a lot of people who've never been,
Yeah.
And even those of us who are locals, you know, we'd like to see the gravestones of
Yeah. Yeah.
of
Well,
our ancestors been buried. So I
Yeah.
would put down a trip to the cemetery as only a handful. I think most people would be I would think that would be a primary objective of most people coming into the area, of seeing the
all right.
burial sites of our family. Absolutely.
So, like, if 40 people come, how many of those people do you think are going to go to the cemetery?
I would guess 25 or 30. I would think.
Oh.
I would think, because those are our ancestors.
Yeah.
Whereas the Whitfield house, it's kind of like, well, it's a museum. Okay, that's special, but
Yeah.
they want to see the place where our ancestors were buried. Something else
yeah, go ahead.
something else that I had also mentioned, because in your letter, Donna, you mentioned activities, and my sister and I were joking around about, oh, we're going to have a water balloon battle and a peanut fight, or
Conrad, would you be willing to do a peanut toss in the 70 to 80 category for adults?
Well, that would be different, that's for sure.
Yeah.
No, activity is just meaning like we're not just going to be sitting there eating with each other, that there's things going on.
oh, like pinochle and bingo and
No,
don't
like
know.
some of the things that you mentioned yourself, you were like, you know, maybe people can bring photographs, maybe people can bring some cool memorabilia that they have, and you can look at that. To me, those are all like activities. That's not just us going there and seeing people we don't know and having a meal with them. We're going to be
Horseshoes.
Yeah. Oh, John wants to do horseshoes. That's in the Grove, right?
Is John off camera?
He is off camera. He's laying down.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
Oh,
all,
geez.
I
Company
mean, that's
meeting.
all a possibility. I own quake boards and my daughter owns, the, whatever they call those new things with the sandbags and all that. But,
Sandbags, yeah.
Yeah, the sandbags.
Oh,
I mean, like some of those kind of activities. Oh, he's so excited, Conrad. He's getting up.
oh, he got, how about, I'm coming over.
Oh, he's coming over now. Wow.
All right. Can anybody see me? You all see me over here?
Yeah, there's a bit of a glare behind you, but
That's good. That's good. So I'm John. That's my wife Donna. I'm a little disheveled right now, but anyway, we have those things. Remember the clown faces? That was from my nana.
Oh, yeah.
From my nana.
Spooky.
The white, you fold them out, and they're like they were painted clowns. They were from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
From my nana.
Like if you just set them up, you just would toss things
Sandbags.
through the holes, the sandbags through the holes, and it wouldn't
They're
like
wooden.
it wouldn't like ruin something, like the grass or whatever.
I thought that was
no, that's
interesting.
all right. I also have those available too.
Yeah, probably
I
not
used
with spooky clown faces.
Well,
I
I
think
wouldn't-
we probably still have ours, Richard, somewhere in a box. I don't think Dad got rid of them.
no, like I said, if it comes to that, but I don't think we're gonna have enough time to do all these things anyway, I think
Right.
let's nail down what time we want to eat and then we work around that,
I think so.
I think so. Most
Right,
people.
and one of my thoughts was like, since this is going to be the first time we're getting together in person in a few years, people may just want to sit and socialize and say, hey, well, I'm on George's side of the family, I'm on the front, they might just want to sit and,
Yeah.
socialize.
Yeah, I agree.
They haven't
Yeah.
seen
I
people in years.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
true, Joanne, because I know by working on my class reunions, we used to have a band there and everything else, and the longer it went year after year, nobody wanted to band anymore. They just wanted to talk,
They just wanted to sit around and talk.
Yeah.
Yep.
sit around and talk, because some of these people that are coming, like Mr. Laux, I've never met the man, and stuff like that, we just want to talk,
Yeah, everybody has like stories and they want to catch up, and you guys haven't had this for a while, and the day goes by quick.
Yeah.
And I mean, unless you have like they bring their families with little kids who are a little hyperactive, as we all know, we once were. It takes a long, the day's gonna go by, and people are gonna want to do it. We belong to the German club, and when our kids are dancing, and everybody's like drinking, but I'm saying like they're all like sitting and talking. And I think it's very important for everybody to catch up at this point, because there'll be so many people. If you can get around, like sitting in a table, talking to two or three, I mean, people are going to be sitting around for 45 minutes, an hour. They want to hear different stories, and different aspects. When we went to Pennsylvania and saw the good, that day went like that, and we had so much. You want to know more. You want to find out. That's what I think. So, that's what you think.
I agree. I do agree that people are going to want to talk. Some people are going to want to talk. There's going to be some people that want to keep a little busy and do things and stuff like that. And so I think having things like, if people have old photographs that they could share, now's the time that we can upload them. If people have like like Clewell memorabilia that they can bring, then people can like look at that. And, you know, so there's things that they can do in addition, but not like some hard and fast, like, oh, okay, everybody is now going outside and doing,
Yeah.
you know, sandbag
Yeah,
toss
I mean,
or
maybe
something.
the next time, you know, people might want to come for like a pig roast or something. But I think right now people
Yeah.
are trying to
Yeah.
get acclimated to the people, the situation, and it's been a few years.
So I agree with Conrad that I think we should hammer out the time that the reunion starts, and
I gotta go.
the food, you know, if that, because I don't know if it necessarily should start the moment people get there is the food, because, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, well, my feeling is we should start somewhere between 10 and 11 in that kind of number as people wander in, and then we can say we can have the lunch at, because depending on where people are coming from, they're going to want to leave and to go back home, wherever it may be, you know?
Well, I wouldn't do it that early, because if you do it that early, then people can't go to any other event before. And the Moravian Music Festival ends at 11 that day. So I wanted to put the Moravian Music Festival on the list of things that people could participate in if they wanted to. And it ends on the 30th. At the last concert ends at 11:30. So, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
is that concert paid concert? I know they do, some concerts are free, but then there are some concerts like the main concert you usually have to have tickets for.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that, like, these are things that people could do when they're in the area. And if we like start where, you know, like say we start at 10:30, 11, then that's forcing those people to make a decision if they're going to go to that concert and or go to the reunion. And they're probably going to think, well, if I'm going to go to the concert, I might as well not even go to the reunion, because it's going to be over with before, you know, before we're done with this music festival. So, and plus, if it's like 10:30, 11, what if people live like 2 hours away? They might be like, oh man, you know, we have to book it there or something. And so I'd kind of like to give people the morning, you know, so I mean, like, I wouldn't start it that early. Because I know myself, if I'm showing up at 10:30, I'm going to be hungry within a half an hour. So does that mean we're going to start lunch at 11? That's kind of a little early.
You know, I'm just
Well, you
saying
can have
that,
sugar cake.
you know, we can have the meal at no later than 1, because that'll really limit your afternoon, what you can do, you know? Because like you say, early, I'm not an early morning person either, so I understand. But, you know, we got to have the dinner, you know, no later than 1 o'clock is what I'm saying.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Like, it shouldn't be any later than 1 o'clock.
I mean, we don't have to, I mean, as far as what options they have as far as what to do, we can just put on the invitation at this point possible visits to Whitfield House and
Yeah, that's Conrad. You didn't get the invitation because you didn't comment on it.
I got it. It's a little scrambled, but I had it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because I think that's what I said. I said, right now, what it's saying is we plan to organize additional activities before and after the reunion, such as a visit to God's Acre, Shennick Moravian Church Cemetery, and hopefully a visit to the Whitfield House Museum in Nazareth.
Yeah, that's okay, as long as we don't say this is definitely what we're doing,
Yeah.
Yeah, that part of my printout, for some reason, came out on 2 pages and it was split and it cut off some things, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I had to get a new printer in the meantime, so I was fumbling around with the new printer trying to figure it out. Anyway. Yeah, but like I say, whatever starting time, I don't really care. It's just
I mean, we could start it at 12 and then, I mean, does anybody, I have no, like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that, except for that I would like to keep the morning a little free for if we want to do some major thing, like maybe go to the archives or to the Whitfield Museum or, something that's going to take more than like a half an hour.
Yeah, it takes a half hour to get to the archives from the church.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Like I said, we don't want to start the luncheon any later than 1. So
I agree.
gives us enough time, depending what people want to do, that we can fit it in.
Does anybody have a preference of a start time?
Now, are you thinking of these activities to the Whitfield House? And that are we going to like go together as a group? Like meet at the church and say, okay, we'll carpool or something and go together as a group?
Well,
Or just gonna say, okay, everybody who's interested to go to the Whitfield House, here's the address. We'll see you there at 10 o'clock.
I would probably lean towards number 2, but we need to know how many people are going. I don't know if we have to meet at the church then to go to the if we're going to the Whitfield House, it probably doesn't matter if we meet at the church, so we're all going at the same time. But whether we do that or the other one, the key is we need to know how many people are going, and it needs to be set up ahead of time that they know that we're coming at a specific time. So it kind of leads me to my question of, and Conrad kind of answered it, like, should we put the events on the invitation? And I'm kind of leaning towards let's wait for the events, and send them out to people that send us back an email address that we can send it to. Although there might be a large amount of people that don't have maybe an email address and don't share it with us right away, and then they won't know what the events are because it's not on their invitation that they get in the mail.
Correct. Now, those people who don't share email address, and if they do say they're coming, we could probably have a postcard or something put together that, we could reply back and say, great, glad you're coming. Here's a kind of a schedule of events.
Well, I wouldn't spend them. I'm sorry. I would not spend more postage money. If they're not going to send an email address and they're not going to share a phone number, in my mind, we reached out to everybody and we're asking for either a phone number or an email address that we can send information to them about an event that they want to have information about. So I'm not quite sure why they wouldn't share an email address if they had one. If they don't have one, then hopefully they would give us a phone number and then we could call them up and, say, hey, we have these activities. I don't know, like there's like 450 people now on the contact list, and like I think I have about maybe like 150, maybe not quite that many, but you know, we're gonna quickly find out out of the 300 or so addresses that we have, who doesn't have a current address anymore, so we don't really have to worry about that. But like that, it's a lot of invitations going out, and there's 270 something people on the Facebook page. So that's kind of like a question that I also kind of wanted to ask you guys. What do you think? How can we encourage people to share their email address that are on the Facebook page? Because we put that thing up about, please share your information with my Clewells, you know, and I think only 2 people did, right, Richard?
I was gonna say, yeah, that's unfortunately that's probably the only way is post something out there, and you know, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to be in contact with you. Please email, because they won't. I don't think they'll post it right on slap on Facebook, but they may think, oh, okay, well, if I can go to myemails.com and send an email, I'll send.
Yeah, but only 2 people have. You know, like they should not share their private information right in the group. Like I've removed people's information and then commented that I've removed it because I don't feel this information should be where 280 people can see what you're saying.
You never know who's watching on Facebook.
Exactly. So, so I would think if somebody was interested in family reunion, you know, that they would privately share their information. And I'm going through the list and I'm seeing who's on. I've already did it once, like a year ago, but I'm doing it a second time. Now there's more people on the Facebook group page, and I'm seeing if any of the names that are on the contact list are the same names that are on the on Facebook, and if they are, I'm privately messaging them and I'm saying, can you please share with me your email address, and you know, is this still your address? This is what we have from like 10 years ago, and some people have been responding to that. But I really thought that a lot of people would have taken advantage of my Clewells and send their information to Richard, because the only way I've been telling people that the only way they're getting an invitation is if they give me an email address. So that's not completely true, but I'm saying, you know, we're trying to save on postage, and can you give us an email address so that we can send you an invitation? So that's kind of down a little bit of a rabbit hole. So, I mean, like, do we have a time that we would like to start the reunion?
Well, my suggestion is make it 12 o'clock and the luncheon is at 1.
Coming up with a little bit of an itinerary here.
Okay. So the reunion starts at 12 and the lunch starts at what?
1.
I have it here as 12, but what I have here is start the reunion at 10 o'clock and people meet at the cemetery. And that gives them 2 full hours if they want to take that whole time, or meet at 11. I don't care. And then meet down at the church for 12. And if people don't want to go to the cemetery, then they show up at 12.
Yeah, but like say for me, my hotel is not in the area and I'm not going to go to the cemetery to spend 30 minutes at the cemetery and then go back to my hotel and then go back to the church at 12. I mean, it's going to be
Well,
like
no,
30 minutes.
That's where like I said, what you do is you say, okay, we start at 11 o'clock up at the cemetery, and then and my thought is they're not going to go back to their hotel when they're done roaming the cemetery. We ask them to please come down to the church.
Yeah.
And
well,
then
11 o'clock makes, yeah, I agree. But Richard has 10 at the cemetery.
Correct. And one of the reasons that is because it gets really hot. And the other thing is after they're done visiting at the cemetery, they can go down to the church and have milk and cookies or whatever, coffee and cookies before lunch something of that.
Yeah, sugar cake and coffee. Because there are some people coming from out of town. I'm sure they would love to, I could probably give them a tour of the church if they've never been there before. Take them up to the sanctuary and, let them look around and, to kill that time in between the time we actually sit down to eat.
Right, so we're not going to go to the Whitfield Museum.
Yeah, why not?
Well, what time are we going to do that?
That would
After
be
we're...
after lunch.
There you go.
No. The reunion can't be 2 hours. No way.
We used to, when I was growing up, reunions were pretty much an entire Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and it started with the church service in the morning.
Started with church services in the morning, business meeting after church services, then lunch, and then an activity. It was a full day event. Not to mention the times we took bus trips, which were an entirely full day event, not on a Sunday.
Hold on. I don't even know. All right, what's your question?
My question,
They can hear you.
Okay, so I think a lot, if people get situated, they eat, a lot of the older timer people, they're in conversation, they're not going to want to go to the Whitfield thing out there because it's breaking it up. I think it probably, I don't know how we're going to work this out, maybe before, or maybe do come back and then have dessert. That might be okay. You can have a dinner or lunch and then dessert afterwards, to have people come back. Because once people start getting conversations and sitting around, they might not be so to go to the Whitfield.
I know I wouldn't.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know I didn't hear everything, so I mean that's my
Yeah, I don't think 2 hours for a reunion is, especially with all this work, is going to work.
What do you mean by 2 hours? I don't follow you.
Well,
we didn't nail it to 2 hours. It's just I'm saying.
No, but if you're going to the Whitfield house, like this doesn't, now it's 1 hour.
What do you mean now?
Lunch is at 12.
Yeah.
Lunch is at 12. Then you're going to go Whitfield house. And then where are you going?
Wherever they want to go.
Yes.
We can drive them to, yeah.
Lunch is from 12 to 1. And then we go to, if you want to go to the Whitfield house, and we go leave at 1, and I don't know, is 1 or 2 hours there at the Whitfield house? I'm not sure how long it would.
No, like 1 hour to eat. Like people are going to talk and they're going to eat and they're going to sit and stuff like that. And now you're saying eat and talk in 1 hour. They came all this way and for 1 hour.
No,
It
we're not
should be
saying
at
that at all.
least-
No, no, no.
Well, no, because then you have to get up and go to the Whitfield house.
Yeah, but we don't have a set time that we have to go to Whitfield House.
Well,
They don't-
no,
they don't-
Richard's
number one,
making the,
They don't open till 10 to start with, so, you know.
I was thinking if we go to the Whitfield house, could we call ahead and ask them to have the pass that the Clewells came over on
Yes.
out on display?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yes.
can do all that. We can do all of that, but I would like to know, I mean, I made the arrangements the last time, but they do like to know roughly how many people are coming, so they have the proper personnel there. And to get that pass out, they have to know ahead of time as well. So, I mean, you know, we don't have to put a timestamp on each program we do. But
Right,
we
and I
should
mean,
get-
these times that Richard's putting up here, it's just a, so we can
Suggestion.
eyeball it and see what maybe, and they don't have to be set in stone.
Right. But people are gonna wanna know when they're gonna eat for sure, regardless of
Yeah.
what the activity is.
you're right, Conrad.
When's the food coming?
Some old people get grumpy.
That's so funny. That's so right.
Is everybody good with 1 o'clock serving the meal? Let's start there.
So right here, 12 o'clock says lunch. Is
can
that
change.
meaning is that meaning reunion starts and then we should have another slot 1 o'clock lunch? Or is that saying that the lunch starts at 12 o'clock?
I don't care what you make it. I'll be there no matter what. But, you know, we're not having a business meeting per se, so, you know.
Right.
Our main date, we got to worry about is when to tell people that we're eating. Depending on
agree.
wherever we're coming from.
Well, you could say Whitfield House at 11 or 10 whenever they open. We could say gather at the church by noon. Lunch is at 12:30.
I like that.
And
I like that a lot.
So then that way people can come and gather and, they can chit chat a
Yep.
little bit between 12 and 12:30. And then we could say, okay, 12:30, food's out, time to eat.
Yep. I like that a lot.
I'm not sure what all you said, Joe.
I said, if we have them do the Whitfield House in the morning and say we give them an hour and a half at the Whitfield House, let the Whitfield House people know that, people will be coming, and then say, meet at the church at 12 o'clock, or at least meet at the church by 12 o'clock. So that way we can eat lunch at 12:30.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say meet at the church for meet and greet at the church at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Have a meet and greet. And then 12:30 lunch.
Oh, Dickens.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. So now what?
And then after lunch, like you said, you have view picks and memorabilia. You know,
Yep.
if people want to, if people want to socialize, and if we have some folks who have things that they would like to bring to show from the Clewell history, like I have that shadow box with some of the buttons from the first and second reunion. Show and tell time.
Show and tell.
And then, you know, if people, by that time, if people are ready to leave, you know, and I figured give them, you know, like 12:30 to 12:30 to 1:30ish for lunch. You don't want to rush them eating. And then, you know, afterwards, if people want to go up and visit the cemetery, they can. If they want to go home, they can.
What time does everybody have to be out, Joanne?
I forget what time I put on the paperwork, but I mean, I can always update that and let them know. As long as there's nothing really going on at church that the following day, the Sunday. I don't think it'd make two hoots how long we're there.
Okay.
But if you want to be done, you know, if you want to say we'd like to have the church from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we may not be there all the way till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but
I think it would rely on the people that have agreed to clean up, you know, because like the people who are cleaning up don't want to be waiting around for a couple of people that are, you know, just sitting and chatting. You know, it's kind of like you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, you know, like, you know, whatever time that might be for the people that, you know, and I said, like my husband's like great at setting things up and great at tearing down events and stuff like that. So, like he can definitely help with getting everything put away and cleaned up and everything like that.
well, that would be one thing that, okay, say lunch is over at 1:15. Now, 1:15, we clean up the food and get it out of the way. And then if people want to sit and talk and look at the memorabilia and things like that, they're more than welcome to, but the bar is closed.
Yeah. So what, like, I guess to me, I would wonder like about what we're going to do about the sugar cakes. Like, one thing that I kind of threw out there, I'm not married to it, is do we want to say we want to have a sugar cake competition? And then I don't know how many people even know how to make sugar cake, so it might just totally fail.
I wouldn't bother.
I'm not sure.
I wouldn't
No.
even
I'm
bother.
not sure
No?
how many
All right.
would
It's not
be
worth the
interested in
time.
doing that.
It's
No.
not worth the
Okay.
effort.
All right. All right.
I can get sugar cake for dessert from my local connection from Linda.
Uh-huh.
And I'll have to contact her, touch base, and see how much she wants for how big her sheets are and how much she wants for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like kind of like, yeah, you could do something like that, but if I'm thinking like someone's coming from
Shouldn't that be
Indiana,
afterwards?
they're gonna have
Richard?
to,
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out. And,
Like after lunch,
you know, we can do
right?
that too. I
coffee
mean,
and snack.
I just thought, I don't know how long it's going to take to go to the Whitfield house, and when people get there, they can have a cup of coffee or piece of fruit
Oh,
or
yeah.
something like that.
Oh, that's what you meant. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, I was thinking the sugar cake. Absolutely, yeah.
If they eat it before or after lunch, just
They could eat it for lunch.
yeah. I don't care. I'm just trying to put some ideas down here so we can get something concrete.
Yeah.
That looks like that's a nice start anyway. To have an idea of what we're planning on doing.
So do you guys want me to include that on the main invitation? Are they meeting at the cemetery, right? I mean, not at the cemetery, at the church, right?
Meet at church. To go to the Whitfield house.
Yeah.
But they
Where is
just
here?
tell everybody to go to the Whitfield house. So I'll meet there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you meet at the Whitfield house.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, meet at Whitfield house. I think you have to specify where here is.
Well,
That's right.
since
Because
Whitfield
I'm
house is
here in
already there,
Portugal, but I don't think the reunion's going to be here in Portugal.
Well, I was gonna say just change your whole subject to meet at Whitfield House.
Yeah, that's right. Good idea.
Get rid of the first Whitfield House. There you go.
And I would say instead of snack, I would say refreshments.
Oh, it's sugar cake.
Sugar cake in big bold letters. Refreshing sugar cake. Oh, there you go.
now, logistically, if you have people meeting at the Whitfield house and they're having their refreshments, whatever, when do they set up their memorabilia and pictures?
Well, I think what I would have done, because 12 o'clock is what we're saying is the gathering time. I would say 11:30 to 12 is, like if you want to say 11:30 is starts the refreshments. If you put 11:30 to 12, gather at the church refreshments. Then they know that they don't have to be there at 11:30. They can still be there at 12 and they still will be on time. Like say they are spending a little extra time at the Whitfield house or whatever, or maybe they don't go there and they want to go over to the church and so if you say 11:30 to 12 is gathering at the church refreshments, then they know that they can arrive somewhere in between that time. And the lunches starts at 12:30.
Right. And we can always, if they have memorabilia, I would say we'll just have to have a couple of tables set up for people to be able to bring their stuff.
Yep.
And maybe a couple of, maybe some sheets of paper that, they can like, if they bring in a couple of different things, they can put them down and say, maybe put a sign on it and said, this was brought by Richard Heckman. He's displaying this stuff. So that way we need to know where people are putting things in, so that way they get to take it home. They make sure they take it home when they leave. And it doesn't grow legs and walk away. But I mean, and even that, in that regards to memorabilia, if they are bringing memorabilia or something like that, maybe we could, put something in the letter or into the response after they say, oh yeah, we got 5 people coming. Then say, okay, if you're going to bring cool memorabilia, please let us know what it is. So that way we can maybe get something together to a little sign or a little piece of paper, that a placard or whatever that says what it is. And
Well, you could, to make it easy, what you could do is make the cards up ahead of time, just blank. And then when people
True.
come, you can fill it out with who brought it and what they brought,
right. Okay.
so that you don't have to go crazy with, oh, what are you bringing? And then they don't show up and somebody else shows up.
Right. That's doable too.
So, like, Richard, are you kind of thinking this show and tell where people would actually get up and like say what they brought? Or are you thinking that it's just there for people to look at when they wish to look at it?
Now that you mention it, I really do like the idea of people getting up and sharing what that relic is. If you remember when you and John and Jarrett came in and did that photo shoot kind of deal, and Conrad and I think, I forget if John brought something. We brought some things, and we could have spent an hour or two just discussing.
Oh yeah,
were.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And in one sense, if we just had it there on display, okay, here's some milk bottles, here's some photos. Okay, isn't that nice? But nobody knows the history behind the stuff. Most people don't know the connections behind the stuff. Conrad's, I forget what was that door, that latch or whatever.
The door.
Yeah. You would have never known unless he explained it, what it was.
Exactly. If it was just there on display, it's kind of like, well, that's nice, but what does it do? What's the connection? A lot of our Clewell family have no idea that the Clewells had a big dairy up in the Berwick, Pennsylvania area, and other things like that. So I kind of do like the idea of show and tell, and people are going to ask questions. That kind of thing. And you'll be surprised to know that, let's say I, as a presenter, I'm not sure what the answer is, but somebody else in the audience probably will. So it's really, I kind of do like that idea of a show and tell. And
I do. Yeah.
So that's,
but no pressure to people. Like if they just want to bring something and they don't really want to get up in front of a whole bunch of people and talk about it, then it still could be fair. Exactly.
By the way, Donna, that snaker bait sold for about $180. That was on eBay.
And it didn't go to you?
No. I had my son Christian keeping an eye on it, but it didn't have the box, so we weren't interested without the box.
Oh, see, you need the box.
And he
didn't know that.
He saw one online. Somebody is actually trying to get $1,700 for it with the box.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you only need one person to pay that price.
Exactly. It wasn't going to be me, that's for sure.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea a lot. What did I say? Let's see. All right. So, not that it has to be decided right now, but do we want to try to have t-shirts or buttons or are we just going to say, let's see how it goes, and maybe the next family reunion will have buttons or t-shirts or something?
I think for this round, let's see how it goes. And if it seems to be popular, we do it again next year, then maybe we could do something commemorative, like a button or something. Since we're really shooting in the dark as to how many people really are going to come.
Right.
And also too, if you're thinking of doing a t-shirt or something, that I would definitely say, okay, we need to find out prices of t-shirts.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and the ink and all that. And then if we don't charge them the full amount of what the cost of the t-shirt is, we should, at least half, if not 3/4 of the cost.
No, if we're having something extra like that, to me, that would be, if they wanted it, they would have to pay the full price, maybe even just a little extra for, that would go into like the Clewell Reunion Fund, because that's an extra thing. That's not like saying, well, you have to pay this amount of money to gather as a family. No, this is like an extra kind of thing, I think. But I agree with you, Joanne. Like, there's too many unknowns, and I think that could cause a lot of problems if we add something like that.
Yeah,
and we don't know.
If we add something like that, it's just gonna, because you don't know how many.
Oh, you froze. You froze, Joanne.
Is Joanne not coming through?
For me, she's frozen.
Yeah. Joe, some reason you're frozen.
But I hope I'm not talking over Joanne. But I'm going to look into seeing how much like Moravian stars are, because I saw like paper Moravian stars, and I don't think they're that expensive. And maybe I could get like a bunch of them for not a lot of money, and then just like create a ribbon where it says like Clewell Reunion, 82nd Clewell Reunion, and put it on the Moravian Star. Like I have a thing that makes little like label kind of things, So I'm going to look into that just for myself and see, if it's super expensive or if maybe it's not really that expensive.
I can save you some time.
Oh, okay.
I'm back. I got disconnected somehow.
I'm sorry, Joanne. You were
That's
frozen.
okay. I heard some of what you were saying, because I know Richard's out in the back room, so I heard some of it, but.
I know someone who can make those stars.
Oh. Do I know that person?
Hair by chance?
Oh.
What was that, Conrad?
I said, does she have red hair by chance?
Kinda reddish hair.
Possibly.
This week.
Well, this week.
You're talking like this kind of Moravian star,
Yeah.
or this kind of Moravian star, which is
Well,
bigger.
I was just thinking something kind of small that has like a little string on it that people could like maybe put on their Christmas tree, and like depending on what we wanted, I can make little tags that can be tied onto them that, say Clewell 82nd Reunion. Or maybe we could get ribbons that say it on the ribbon, like a small ribbon sometimes those aren't too expensive, and then just kind of tie it on the string. I'm up for options. I guess it just depends how much it would cost.
Well, that's something for another day, I think, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've gone about an hour and a half.
Yes, true.
Is there anything else that we need to talk about?
So I'm gonna, like, I just want to know, is everybody, I'm gonna change the invitation to say 11:30 to 12 noon is the reunion start. And then should I add 12:30 as lunch to the invitation?
I would, yeah.
And like, are we okay with just a donation once they get there, or does the invitation need more tweaking?
I'm inclined to just go with a donation for this time around. Whatever numbers come in, they come in, I guess, you know. We'll just rely on people that are coming just to give us a couple bucks if they want. Nothing mandatory.
Now, when you do this letter, Donna, are you planning on having it on one page?
Yes.
Okay, because
But
when I printed it out, it came out 2 pages.
Yeah, something happened to it. I think when there was comments or something, it went to 2 pages, because that happened to me as well. And
Okay.
so then what, I was doing some tweaking around, based on your comments and Richard's comments. So I was tweaking it a little bit. So it is a little different. What was I going to say? Should I add the schedule of events that we have right now? Should I add that to the back, or we'll just send that later on, as like an email or something like that?
Well, hopefully the folks that are gonna signing up and attending, hopefully they will, once they let us know that, yeah, they're coming, and if they give us a contact email address, then we can email them, okay, great, we've received we received your confirmation that you're coming. Here's a schedule of events. If you want to bring some cool memorabilia for a time of show and tell, that you might have, that could be part of once we get them back and see how many people are coming, then we can say, yeah, okay, then we'll send them an email, a confirmation email that your monies have been received. And
I like that.
a confirmation email saying that your monies have been received, for X amount of children, X amount of adults. You know how, like, when you buy something on the internet, you get a confirmation email.
Yeah.
Even though they're not going to be responding via email, they're going to be responding via letter. That's still an easy thing that I can say, hey, hey, Donna, I can email you, and I said, I've gotten these returns back with how many people are coming, and I can give you their contact information, and then you can email them back and say, this is we're confirming that we've received your information. Here's a tentative schedule of what we're looking at doing that day. And hope to see you then.
Yep. So also on go ahead, Richard.
I was going to say, I hate to throw a wrench into the works, but
Go ahead.
if you don't ask people to come up with some money in advance, when the date comes, they can say, sure, we're going to bring 14 families. But when the date comes and they don't have any commitment into this, they'll say, oh, something else popped up. No, who cares? And that was one of the advantages.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. I do have on there in a couple different places, like it says, please attach and return the completed form below by I said July 15th. Is that a soon enough time for the 30th?
I would think so. That's 2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks
Yeah.
before, yeah.
And then I said to be assured of a meal and to be current on the event activities planned. A basket will be available at the reunion for donations to help cover costs. And then below on the ticket thing, it says check donations should be made out to Clewell Family Reunion. So we're not saying, oh, you don't have to pay anything. Like we're making it clear that money should be set aside to pay for this. And you're right, Richard. People could be like, oh, well, we said 15 people are coming, and then at the last minute they're like, well, we didn't pay any monies and we have something else going on, so we're not even going to show up. And then we have food for 15 people, which could happen,
which kind of, I'm thinking now that Richard mentioned it, it might not be a bad idea with his one cost analysis here for food, plates, etc., where we would charge, say, $6 for an adult, or basically say $6 for a meal. Anybody 12 and under is free. And I think,
we're
something like that, people would be
but
like,
then they're
okay,
not
I
going to
paid
bring
money
any
to go to
extra.
this thing. I better.
But they're not going to care that they paid $6. They're going to be like, I'm not going,
And we make it $10.
And and then it's running into the thing where they're like, either like they'll be like, I paid $10, and $10 obviously isn't the whole amount, but because we asked them to pay $10, they're going to feel like I paid my dues and I don't have to pay anything else. I mean, we just won't know,
Well,
like.
I mean, that's not necessarily a bad idea, because we're not asking anything about a yearly dues or anything like that. Or you could put in there instead of, because the donation idea is great, but I think maybe we should change it a little bit and say to help defray
Suggested
some
amount.
costs.
Suggested
But
amount.
We ask $10 a person. $10 a family if you want to do it that way.
I just feel like we're going to get less money if we ask for the $10 now, because they're going to feel that they paid for it. Than if the people that came be like, oh, wow, this was a great event and I had a good time and I ate a lot of food and I'm going to give, $50 for my family.
I mean, we can still have a free will offering, a love offering, whatever.
Oh,
you wanna
yeah,
call it,
obviously, yeah.
at the thing, but I think you might get more people to commit to coming if they've already made an investment by giving a couple of bucks when they send their confirmation slips back.
It doesn't matter to me. I just know that Conrad and Peter were like, let's just not worry about that right now. So I don't care. I can put it back in. It was there before, and I can put it back in. I don't mind.
What are your thoughts, Conrad?
Well, Yeah, I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'd just say suggested amount $10, you know, just put suggested amount.
Well, you
Yeah.
gotta add who pays $10. Like adults pay $10, ages 13 through 17 pay $10, children 5
adults.
through 12. Like, you know, are they
No.
$5?
Just say adults. Just say adults. You know, don't make it too complicated. You know, we're not paying a caterer or anything like that. So just, you know,
Yeah,
suggested.
and
All right, so
And-
just like like with that line, suggested, how did you say it? Donation, $10 per adult, right?
Right.
right.
It fits right on the same line. So well, I could switch it around. Hold on. Cut. Oh, nope, it didn't. Hold on. All right. So I have it says, please return this form no later than the 15th, and then suggested donation $10 per adult. Check donation should be made out to Clewell Family Reunion. Does that sound good?
Goes to me.
Yeah.
Should I change anything? Oh, go ahead.
Should there also be a statement about, and a free will offering will be taken to defray reunion expenses?
Yeah, that's what I was going to just ask. I like
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
So
you could
a
do that.
basket will be available at the reunion for free will. What did you call it?
Free will donation
Free
or
will offering.
Donations to help cover costs.
to
Does that
defray,
sound good?
to
help
defray
costs.
To
reunion
help
costs.
defray.
Yeah, because I think if we get at least the adults to pay, if it's 2 adults and 2 kids, if we get the 2 adults to pay $10 a piece, the kids aren't going to eat much. So, you know, that could be covered in the free will offering. But I think if we get them to commit some kind of money, they're going to be, okay, you know, I've already sent money in for this. I better mark it on my calendar and not make plans to go somewhere else.
There's some kind of a commitment.
Right. Because then we're getting at least a little bit of a commitment on their end.
Okay.
But I still like that you had the way you have it, lunch attendance, so they can put out a number of adults attending, a number of kids ages 13 to 17, number of kids under 12.
Yeah.
Just so that way,
Like
we have an idea of how many people are really actually coming.
Right. Yeah. And who knows, like by saying suggested donation of $10 per adult and then check donation should be made out to, that means that if they're like, hey, you know, I want to give $20 per adult or whatever, you know, it doesn't mean that they don't have to,
Right.
that they can only give $10 per adult.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a suggestion. That's just a, you know, $10 for adult meal to help and we'll take a low offering for defraying the rest of the costs.
Now, Richard, like, did you figure out, like, was it $15 per person? Essentially with 40 people? Is that what your thing said?
Do you
And
mean
that was everything.
this?
It was $16. $16.
Oh, it was $16. Hold on, let me get back to you. And that was including everything but the cake, right?
Right.
And
The
the beverage.
rental and the postage. Oh, hold on.
Yeah,
That wasn't including the beverage. It wasn't including. The
No,
cake.
no beverage, no dessert or cake.
Okay.
But that does
It's gonna
include
be
the postage.
BYO.
What?
Yeah.
I said it's gonna be BYO.
Oh,
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I could buy like a big iced tea thing, and then we'll just make like iced tea and stuff like that. You know, like I have those jugs that have like 2.5 gallons. So, like, if people want water or they want iced tea, or we can make like a lemonade one or something like that. You know, and also, yeah, you could say that. You could say, if you have a favorite beverage, bring your beverage or something.
I
mean,
wouldn't
I
do
can-
that. You
No,
know,
no.
bringing your stuff. Yeah, we can go to Sam's Club for $3, $3.50 and get 40 bottles of water. And you know, if somebody wants to make a pitcher or two of something, that's perfectly fine. That's doable. Or a couple of jugs of lemonade or iced tea, something like that. We can get the ice. That's another thing. I did not figure in the cost of any ice.
Mm.
Now, of course, prices are going to change if we only get 30 people or only 20 people. I'm just saying, you know, everything was based on 40 people coming. So
Yeah, it's not going to be 20 people. That I know. If it's like 20 people, we're all probably well aware of the costs. We'll be like, oh, we got to pay some more money for the food.
So, all right. We've gone an hour and 45 minutes. Have we discussed pretty much everything for now?
I'm good. So I'm gonna, like, in 2 weeks, I'm gonna send out an email and with the invitation. And so if you guys, when you guys get the email and you look at the invitation, if you see anything glaringly wrong, I mean, I'm just gonna copy it from what is right online right now, so you guys could go on there as well and you know, after I tweak it. And but if you see anything in there, please let me know ASAP, so I don't make like 300 copies of the invitation and it's wrong in print too.
Right. Understandable. 2 weeks, if I understand it correctly, 2 weeks will be Mother's Day. So I don't want to have a meeting on that day. So the Sunday after Mother's Day? Does that sound good to everybody?
I'm available. I'm available. That's the
Should be
15th.
fine. Should be fine.
When are you planning on sending out the snail mail, Donna?
I would say like probably the 15th. So maybe I should wait till the 15th and we have just one more, like, okay, this is what we're doing, and we all saw the email invitation, and then you know, I'll probably send them out like the 16th and the 17th.
Okay,
Is that too late, you think?
Well, I was gonna say, when you go to the post office to get the postage, make sure you get a receipt, so that
Okay.
way we can reimburse you.
Yep, absolutely.
Is there anything else? Going once, going twice, sold.
Sold for $60.
So, all right.
Thanks,
Good meeting,
everybody.
everybody. We will see
Okay.
everybody in about 3 weeks then.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Alrighty. See you all later. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.